Welcome back to the book of Genesis. We're getting started again, and now we're at Genesis chapter 29. But before we start in Genesis chapter 29, in Genesis chapter 28, we see that Jacob had left his mom and father, his father Isaac's house, taken off from the threats of his brother Esau. Esau threatened to kill him for what Jacob has done. So Jacob has taken off and he's gone. So he ended up in the land of Luz. And when he got there, he fell asleep and he fell into a deep sleep, and he had this dream. And the dream he had was a letter called Jacob's letter. He dreamed that this letter was on the earth and it went all the way to heaven. And on the top of that letter was the Lord. And the Lord confirmed this Abrahamic covenant with Jacob. Then Jacob woke up and he called that place Bethel, because he said, surely the Lord is in this place. Then Jacob made a vow. He said that if the Lord would do this for him, if the Lord would give him food, and if the Lord would give him raiment, and if the Lord would protect him, and if the Lord would let him go back home in peace, then the Lord would be his God. But the Lord said he's going to do all that for Jacob anyway. But Jacob is a trader, and so he loved to make deals. Jacob loved to trade. He liked to guarantee things his way. But he hadn't learned yet, but believe me, he will learn. And now Jacob in chapter 29 is moving on with his journey. And let's start right now in Genesis chapter 29. We're continuing with the story of Jacob. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it, for out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. Now, Jacob has arrived into this land, Paneram, or the land of Haran. That is where Isaac and his mom, Rebecca, told him to go. And his uncle Laban, his uncle is going to be there. And there he would meet Rachel. And there he would meet the entire family of Laban. And then we're going to see Jacob's life start to escalate when he start to get to know the people right here in the east. These are his people, and he has arrived in the land. And now let's go to verse 3. And thither were all the flocks gathered, and they rolled the stones from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stones again upon the well's mouth in his place. Now, when Jacob got there, he see these men working. Right now, he doesn't know that these men is actually family members of him, cousins, first, second cousin, third cousins, and he's going to see Rachel there too. But now he's watching these men. Well, they arrived at this well, and they remove this huge stone from the mouth of the well, get the water, and then they put the stone back. Now Jacob is watching this, and watch what happens right here. Now, verse 4, and Jacob said unto them, my brethren, whence be ye? And they said, of Haran are we. Now, Jacob now knows he's in the land of Haran. That's where he's supposed to be. And he asked them, he said, my brother, where am I? And where are we? And then they said, we're in the land of Haran. Now, watch this right here, verse 5. And he said unto them, know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him, right? And look what it says right here, verse 6. And he said unto them, is he well? And they said, he is well. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, cometh with the sheep. Now, Jacob is asking these questions, and he knows he's in the land of Haran. He knows he's in the family of Laban. And now we see Rachel, she shows up. Now, Jacob never met her. This is the first time he's ever seen her. This is Laban, his uncle Laban's, one of his uncle Laban's daughter, Rachel. Now, Jacob is going to see her, and he's instantly going to fall in love. And now we're going to see Jacob start to make some mistakes. We're going to see him make some rookie mistakes, because I'm convinced that he is going to show off. You see, he's going to try to show off some kind of skills that he has, and he really doesn't have any skills, but he's going to pretend he does because he see Rachel, and he's going to try to impress her, and he's going to try to show off a little bit. So let's see what he does right here, right? And verse 7, and he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep and go and feed them. Now look what Jacob did now. He just got into this place. He see these men working. He asked them questions, and now he knows he in the household of Laban. And then Rachel shows up, and as soon as Rachel shows up, here Jacob started getting commands. Jacob wasn't a man of the field. He was a man of the tent. He was a man of the house. But now, because Rachel is there and he likes Rachel, he's trying to pretend that he knows what he's doing. And the men is going to correct him. But look what Jacob said again. Look at verse 7. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep and go and feed them. Giving these men commands. These men has been doing this probably all their life. And here come Jacob. He hadn't known these men not even a good minute. And he's giving commands. Oh, you shouldn't be doing it this way. This is not the time to gather sheep. This is not the time to give them water. This is not the way this is supposed to happen. Jacob is giving them commands. Not only he reprimanded them, but then he's telling them what to do. You see, watch what he says right here. He said, water ye the sheep and go and feed them. He's telling them as if he's some kind of boss or he their boss. But he's doing this because he sees Rachel. And I'm telling you right now, Jacob is trying to impress her. But Jacob actually right here doesn't really know what he's talking about. How you know that? Because watch right here. And they said, we cannot until all the flocks be gathered together, until they roll the stones from the well's mouth, then we will water the sheep. They're telling this man, Jacob, that's not how it's done. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to wait till all the flocks gather together. Then we remove the stone from the well's mouth, and then we will water the sheep. But see, Jacob, he's trying to impress Rachel. But they reprimanded Jacob, said, no, we're not going to do it that way. That's not the way we have been doing it. And we're not going to start doing it that way today because you just showed up, right? But look right here in verse 9. And while he yet spake with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. Now, while Jacob was still talking to them, they was having this conversation. Jacob commanded them what they should do, as if he knows. He just showed up. He doesn't have a lot of experience at all at being a shepherd, but these men do. And they are telling Jacob, now this is how we're going to do it. Now here come Rachel. Now she's coming. Jacob saw Rachel up here, right? In the previous verses. Now we see her coming forward with her sheep towards Jacob. Now he's in the business of trying to impress her because indeed Rachel was a very, very attractive woman, and Jacob trying to pretend that he knows what he's talking about. He's trying to impress her. He's trying to show off, but actually Jacob has no experience as a shepherd. When Jacob left home, he was what? He was a man of the house. He was a man of the tent, and his brother Esau was a man of the field. So Jacob is talking about something, and he's telling these men and giving them directions and instructions about something he know nothing about. And that's how I know that he is saying this to what? To impress Rachel, to pretend that he knows something and he actually don't know at all. So let's keep it moving right here. Verse 10. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flocks of Laban, his mother's brother. Now, you see Jacob? See, he doing this for Rachel. He likes Rachel. When Rachel came, now Jacob, he just got there now, but he's going to flex his muscle. He's going to pretend that he knows what he's doing, and he's trying to impress Rachel. Let's read that again. Look what it says right here. And it came to pass when Jacob saw Rachel. Now, when he saw Rachel, he started to act in a completely different way. He tried to show that he have experience. He tried to show he knows what he's talking about. He's tried to show that, try to show off for Rachel, because up here, we see in the previous verse, he told these guys, listen, this is how you should do it. They said, no, that's not how we're going to do it. But now Rachel came with her flocks and Jacob jumped in the way and said, let me do it. Let me show you how to do it. And the reason why he's doing that, again, because he thinks Rachel is a very beautiful woman. Indeed, she is. And he wants to impress her. But look what he said, right? When he saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brothers, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flocks of Laban, his mother's brother. So Jacob made a mistake right here. He said he's trying to impress Rachel. But what happened is that Rachel's going to tell her father Laban, and her father Laban is going to use this to his advantage. Because Jacob is showing what? He's showing willingness. He's showing what? Strength. He's showing that he can do these things. But actually, he has no experience at all. He only doing this because Rachel is there and he's trying to impress her. But he made a mistake because instead of him sitting back and relaxing, instead of him just talking to the people, making sure he's in the right area, making sure that, that everything is good in the community. Everything is good in the land of Paran, and everything is good in the land of Haran. Just enjoy, himself, just slowly, merge into the community, merge into the family. Jacob didn't do that at all. He coming in charging. He coming in giving instructions. He coming in telling people what to do. And now Uncle Laban is going to see this weakness. He's going to see this flaw in Jacob, and he's going to take advantage of it. Watch right here. And Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother and that he was Rebekah's son. And she ran and told her father. See, he kissed Rachel. See, he was doing all of this to impress her. But little did he know that she's going to go and tell her father all the things that Jacob did. And his uncle Laban is going to take advantage of this. But look what he did right here. Let's read that again. And Jacob kissed Rachel. Now, he kissed her. She was beautiful. It was her flocks. She came with the flock of sheep, and he moved this big, huge stone by himself from the well's mouth. And he watered the sheep for her. He did all these wonderful things for Rachel. He was already in love. It was love at first sight. And when he finished doing that, right, then he kissed Rachel. He's trying to impress her. And I think he did impress her, actually, because she actually thinks Jacob knows what he's doing. But then when Jacob kissed her, he wept. Now, why would he weep? I think he wept because he had this long journey. This was a three-day journey. He's running in fear from his brother Esau. He had to leave his mama and father for the first time, and he'd never done that before. And he left unwillingly. It's nothing like he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave. He had to leave. And so he was going through a lot, and poor Jacob, he'd been alone these 3 days, and now he finally arrived at this land, and he see this beautiful woman, and just the fact that how pretty she was, he was trying to impress her, and he did. And then he kissed her, and this kiss was so profound to him that he wept. And that lets me know that Jacob has released all this pressure, all this fear, all this strain, all this stress of taking that long journey, running in fear. That was like a release to him. And when those tears came out, it's just like he was free. He was released. He arrived where he needed to be. And so he wept when he kissed Rachel. And look what Rachel did. Well, Rachel ran and told her father. She went and told her father Laban all these things that Jacob did. And I see, instead of Jacob slowly merging into the family, his uncle Laban is going to see this weakness of Jacob. He's going to see that Jacob is trying to impress Rachel. He's going to see that clearly. Matter of fact, he's going to make a deal with it. right? And he's going to see that Jacob really doesn't know, or have an experience with sheep, but he's going to take advantage of that because he knows that Jacob loved his daughter Rachel, and Jacob shouldn't have showed that. He shouldn't have tried to impress her. He should have just slowly did it. He liked Rachel. He should have did it in a different way, but he did it in a way that's going to cause his uncle Laban to take advantage of this love that Jacob has for Rachel. Now look at verse 13. And it came to pass when Laban heard the tidings of Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. And he told Laban all these things. So now Jacob has arrived at his uncle Laban's house, and he told his uncle Laban everything that happened. I don't think Jacob should have did that. He should have told his uncle Laban everything because he doesn't really know his uncle Laban at all. Matter of fact, I don't think Jacob has ever even met him. This is the first time he had met his uncle because his mother and father had to say, okay, your uncle Laban, he's going to be there. And they gave Jacob instructions of, how to approach his uncle Laban with trying to marry his daughters, right? Because Uncle Laban has two daughters. Jacob's uncle has two daughters, and Rebekah and Isaac was giving him instructions of how to go to your uncle Laban and how to marry one of his daughters, right? And so Jacob is putting out too much information, and this information that he's putting out is definitely going to hunt him. You just keep watching. You keep following the story of Jacob, and we see that his uncle Laban is going to take full advantage of him. You see, I'm convinced that Uncle Laban is listening to Jacob, and he's seeing flaws in Jacob. He's seeing inexperience in Jacob. He's seeing these things, and now we're going to see later, not later, but just in a few minutes, we're going to see Uncle Laban set Jacob up real good. He's going to set him up good, and so that's the reason why I think Jacob shouldn't have not put too much information, because look what it said. And he told Laban all the things. Should have told him some of the things, but it shouldn't have told him all the things, right? And so here it is right here. And Laban said to him, surely thou art the bones of my flesh, my bones and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. Now here it is. Laban is starting to set Jacob up. Laban is very experienced. He knows what's going on. He knows all about life. He knows a lot about men. And guess what? He's getting ready to set up old Jacob big time. So let's read that again in verse 14. And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him a space of a month. Now, a space of a month, that's the important part. Watch this right here. Here's Laban. Verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be? Here comes the setup. Now Jacob came there. Remember, Jacob told him all these things that happened, right? And so Jacob came there to find a wife. And he came there to find a wife among Laban's daughters. And when he did that, he's supposed to probably stay there for a month, maybe two. And then once he get this wife, Jacob's supposed to go back home to the land of Canaan. That's the plan. That's what he told them. He said all these things. Jacob even mentioned that. He said, if the Lord will let me return in peace to my father's house. Remember, Jacob said that, if the Lord let me return to peace in my father's house. So Jacob had no intentions of staying there long. He was only running there to get from his brother Esau. And what did Rebekah say? When Esau's temper has calmed, or when Esau has forgotten why he was mad at you, then you can come back. So Jacob has been gone for a while now, a little over a month, right? And so now things are not working out like he planned, because his uncle Laban is starting to set him up. And Jacob, because of his inexperience, is going to walk right into this trap. Watch this. Here it is. I want to read that again. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me what should be thy wages. Jacob never said anything about coming there working. Jacob never said anything about coming there serving his uncle Laban. He came there to get a wife, and that was it. But Uncle Laban see, some flaws in Jacob, and he's going to take advantage of it, and watch how he do it. He said, listen, should you serve me for naught? He said, just tell me what you want me to pay you. Come and work for me. Now, Jacob is getting ready to get a job, and this is going to be the worst job he ever had, because Uncle Laban is definitely going to take advantage of him. Look at verse 16. And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elders was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Now watch this right here. And Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was very beautiful and well-favored. And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. That was a brutal mistake. He did not have to do that at all. He set himself up. He showed his inexperience, and Uncle Laban is taking advantage of it, because look what Jacob did. He made a bad decision right here. He showed his immaturity. He showed his lack of experience in the world. He showed that he's fresh, and he showed that he's green, and he showed that he's a rookie. Because look what he did. He didn't have to do this at all. But look what he did. He said, listen, he said, I will serve, right? I will serve these 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. 7 years. Now, Laban said, just tell me your wages, right? You can come and work for me and tell me your wages. You see? Well, Jacob could have said, well, I really didn't come here to work. I didn't really come here to do anything. I just came to find myself a wife. And, I appreciate it if you can, give me Rachel, and we can go on by our way. That's all Jacob had to say. You see? Rachel and Laban asking, what would be your wages? Jacob should have said, I didn't come here to work for you. But instead, what he did, he walked into a trap and said, I will serve you 7 years for your daughter Rachel. And I'm sure Laban knew that, but I guess Laban was caught off guard, because I can guarantee you, Laban didn't think Jacob would say 7 years. He knew that Jacob loved his daughter Rachel. He knows that. But man, I'm sure that even Uncle Laban was caught off guard by this rookie mistake that Jacob made. He shouldn't have said that at all. He would serve her for 7 years. Actually, he could have just said, I just came here to find a wife, and I like Rachel, and can we go on by our way? But nope, now he stuck himself in this land for 7 years. Now watch this. And you think Laban finna argue with that? No way, not any day. Laban would have given Rachel to him anyway. Because what did Laban say? You are surely my bones, and you're my flesh, and we are brethren. So Jacob would have gotten Rachel without making this rookie mistake. But look right here. Laban's going to take advantage of this. And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. Now Laban said, yeah, that's a good deal. That's the deal of the century. He said, it's better for me to give her to you anyway than to give her to a stranger, to give her to another man. So yes, that's a deal. Go ahead and abide with me. Live with me, and we'll work out the plans. And so here it is. Laban took advantage of this rookie mistake that Jacob just made. And look what Laban said. It is better that I give her to thee. See, Laban probably would have gave her to Jacob anyway. But Jacob set himself up, you see, with this 7-year contract just to get Rachel that he probably would have gotten without having to do that hard labor at all. Because I got news for you. This labor is going to be hard. It's going to be hard labor. And Jacob is going to mention how hard it was when he get ready to leave his Uncle Laban's house. But it's going to be a long time before he leave there. It's going to be 20 years before Jacob escape. Because when he leave, he's not going to walk away. He's not going to have a farewell party. He's not going to have a good time. There's not going to be none of that. He's going to have to escape his Uncle Laban, just like he had to escape his brother Esau. So Jacob got a lot to learn, right? Now watch this right here. Then here it is in verse 20. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, right? For the love he had for her. Now he done served this 7 years, and it seemed like it was just a few days for him because he loved Rachel. Now watch this right here. Let's keep it moving, right? Now watch this. Now verse 21, and Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her. Now this is a good trick that Laban getting ready to play on him. But I want you to notice something in this verse right here. Look at this verse right here. Verse 21. Now watch this. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife. Now he said that in an antagonistic way. Give me my wife. Laban worked him, and Laban worked him good. He made him earn every inch of that, of marrying his daughter, because Jacob said, give me my wife. I have fulfilled my end of the deal. Give me her. So Jacob seemed to be putting out some kind of anger or some kind of disappointment, because the only thing he got was who? Was Rachel. Out of this 7 long, hard years, Jacob think he's getting ready to skip town. Give me my wife. I fulfilled my duties. I'm ready to go. He seemed to be what? He seemed to be antagonistic towards his uncle Laban, because he did not say that in a kind, nice way. He said it in a way that Laban really took advantage of him in those 7 years. Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now Laban's setting up a big trap. Here comes the trap. Remember, I said Laban is going to set Jacob up big time, and here it comes. Jacob said, give me my wife. I'm ready to leave. Now watch this right here. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went into her. Now Jacob doesn't know, but he's been fooled. He's been deceived. He's been tricked the same way he did his father Isaac. Now his uncle is doing him the exact same way. What happened is that now Jacob is paying for that mistake he made by deceiving his father. And here it is, whatever a man sows, that a man shall surely reap. Up here, Jacob said, I'm going to work 7 hard years for your daughter Rachel, because I love her. And now his uncle is playing a good trick on him. His uncle said, okay, yeah, they had a great party, had a great feast. And then instead of Uncle Laban giving him Rachel, whom Jacob worked these 7 years for and whom Jacob loved, he didn't give her Rachel. He gave her Leah. He gave Jacob Leah. And Jacob did not work 7 hard years for Leah. He worked 7 hard years for Rachel. But that's not what happened. He's been tricked. Now watch how Uncle Laban gets away with this. Now I want to read that again. And it came to pass in the evening. It's dark. Jacob doesn't know there's a switch. Okay. Instead of him getting Rachel, he finna get Leah. It's evening. It's dark. Now there's a switch. Uncle Laban is very smart, isn't it? He waited till it got dark so that Jacob wouldn't notice the difference. And he probably told Leah, don't say anything into the morning, right? His daughter Leah. And so Jacob is getting ready to get tricked, and he's getting ready to be deceived the same way he deceived his father Isaac. Look right here. Uncle Laban is a master. He waited till the evening time comes so Jacob didn't notice the difference, because those days women wore a veil, right? And because they wore a veil, he couldn't see her face. And because it was dark, he probably couldn't figure out her shape. And she was told, I'm sure, to be quiet, and she were. And here comes Jacob. Here it is. He thinks he's getting ready to get Rachel. He's going to end up with Leah. It's evening, right? Now here comes the switch, right? The switch is done in the dark, right? Uncle Laban is switching out the girls in the dark, that he took Leah, his daughter, and not Rachel now, and brought her, Leah, to Jacob, and he went into her. Now, Jacob did not notice, okay, that he was actually with Leah, because this trick that Laban did was done in the dark, and Jacob didn't find out that he didn't find out until the next day, until that early morning when the light came and he saw Leah, and man, well, he's hot and fuming, just like Esau was hot and fuming at him. Now watch this right here. And Laban gave unto his daughters Leah, Zilpah, his maid, for a handmaid. Now Laban said, okay, this is Leah, my daughter. Now Jacob doesn't know that this is Leah. He thinks it's Rachel. But he gave Leah and he gave the handmaiden, Leah's handmaiden. That will be important right here because we're going to see this handmaiden later. Now, 25, verse 25, and it came to pass that in the morning, remember the switch happened at night in the evening time, but now it's bright and early. The sun is out nice and shiny, and Jacob had to find out that he was tricked and he was deceived. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is that thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore hast thou beguiled me? Now, Jacob don't like that. It didn't feel good, you see. He did it to his brother Esau. He deceived his father Isaac. And now it's happening to him, and he don't like it. He don't like it at all. Now Jacob is actually paying for that deception he did, because now what did the old say? What is that old proverb? Whatever a man sows, that he shall surely reap. Jacob had sowed deception and trickery in his father's house, and now he's getting deception and trickery in his uncle Laban's house. It's coming back on him full force. And guess what? Look what Jacob, he's mad and he's fuming and he's hot. He said, what have you have done unto me? Watch this right here. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. Behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this that thou hast done unto me? I bet Jacob was hot. He was mad, and he was probably yelling at his uncle Laban, because 7 years is a long time. And this was a good trick that Laban played on him. And Jacob, he didn't really know how to respond to this. So he went and just started probably yelling at his uncle Laban, saying, what is this that you've done to me? Haven't I not served all these years for your daughter Rachel? How in the world are you going to switch out and give me your daughter Leah? Now watch this right here. Look what Jacob said right here. Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? Why did you trick me? Why did you deceive me? Why did you mislead me? Well, that's what Jacob did. He tricked his father Isaac. He deceived his father Isaac. And he misled his father Isaac by pretending that he was Esau to get the blessing. And everything that Laban done to him, that's exactly what he did to his father Isaac. So the chicken do come home to roost. Whatever a man sow, that he shall surely reap. And Jacob is now reaping. Now watch this right here. Verse 26, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. And see, that's when I said that Jacob came in bold, he came in cocky, he came in inexperienced, and he came in this land as a rookie. He should have just slowly merged into the community, merged into this country, merged slowly into this land to get to know the people. But he didn't do this. He made a rookie mistake, and he did that because he saw Rachel. He liked her. He tried to impress her. And so he went and made these big time mistakes, 7 years. He didn't have to say that at all. He probably would have got Rachel anyway for no years, right? Because even his uncle said, you are my bones and you're my flesh. Why would I give her to someone else? I can give her to my own brethren, right? So he made a big time mistake, you see? And so he wasn't familiar with the country's traditions. You know, he wasn't familiar with how they do things in that land. Even Uncle Laban said, oh, it's not so. In our country, we always let the first be born. The firstborn has to be married first. And then the younger will be married later. And see, Jacob, he would have figured that out. He would have figured the tricks, or gotten to know how Laban is if he would have just been patient and waited. But now he jumped too fast. As soon as he got in that land, he was giving out orders, giving out instructions about stuff he didn't know anything about. And sure enough, Uncle Laban took advantage of that. But look how smooth Uncle Laban is. Look what he says right here. And Laban said, it must not be so in our country. Uncle Laban is smooth. He just came to Jacob, Jacob screaming and yelling. And Uncle Laban said, that's not how we do business over here. You know, I probably forgot to tell you that the firstborn has to be married first, and then my younger daughter, she can be married. So I'm sorry, I left that out the contract. I forgot to tell you, but that's how it is in my country. 7 years that he forgot to tell Jacob that's how it is, right? And so look right here, and verse 27 right here. Now verse 26, I'm sorry. And Laban said, it must not be done so in our country. Give the younger before the firstborn. We can't give the younger daughter before the firstborn. We don't do that here. Now here it is right here, verse 27. Fulfill her weeks, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. Look at this. Look what Uncle Laban said. He got Jacob trapped. Jacob don't know what to do. But because of his inexperience, he's going to go ahead with another trick of his Uncle Laban. Look right here. Look what Uncle Laban said. Fulfill her weeks. Here it is, Leah. And we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve me yet 7 other years. Man, this is terrible for Jacob. Uncle Laban said, okay, just go ahead and take Leah, take my firstborn, fulfill her weeks, let her go on and be your daughter, be your wife. And I tell you what I do because I like you, Jacob. I can see the look on Jacob's face, fume and steam coming out of his ears, smoke coming out of his nose. He's mad. His eyes is red and he's angry. And Leah and his Uncle Laban is telling him, you finna do 7 more years if you want Rachel. Gosh, that's brutal. I mean, this is bad. He said, you want Rachel, you're going to have to do 7 more years. He said, so go ahead, take Leah, my firstborn daughter, take her, because that's the tradition of the land. And go ahead and fulfill her weeks. Go ahead and, be her husband. She's going to be your wife. And if you want Rachel, and I'm going to give you Rachel, she's still yours. But you have to give me 7 more years. And look at that. Jacob has been tricked. He's been deceived. He still loved Rachel. How we know he loved Rachel? Because those first 7 years only seemed like a few days to him because he was in love with her. But when those 7 years was up, Uncle Laban worked him good. Look what Jacob said to his uncle. Give me my wife. That was a hard 7 years. Give her to me so I can go on about my business. And then here go Uncle Laban tricked him, right? And when Uncle Laban tricked him, Jacob ended up with Leah and Leah handmaiden, and then end up with Rachel at all. Jacob still want Rachel, and Uncle Laban knows that. So what Uncle Laban say? Okay, well then I tell you what I do. You go ahead and take Leah, and you go ahead and take her handmaiden. You go ahead and fulfill her weeks. Be her husband. She's going to be your wife. And then just do 7 more years now. 7 more years. And I give you Rachel, my other daughter. Boy, that was brutal. And Jacob has to accept it because he still loves Rachel. The reason why this whole story is very important, because we're going to see how Jacob is going to end up with 12 boys and 1 daughter from these women that he was tricked into, not Rachel, but the other women that he was tricked into. And he's going to wind up having 1 daughter and 12 boys from this incident right here. And out of the 12 boys of Jacob will arise 400 years later, the nation of Israel. Now, here it is right here. Now, verse 28, right? And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. Now, Jacob did 7 more years. He went ahead and took Leah as a wife and took the handmaiden. And then he had to go ahead and did 7 more years. And then Laban gave his daughter Rachel to Jacob. Right? Now here it is right here. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughters Bella and his handmaiden to her to be her maid. Now these handmaidens will become important because the handmaidens will also Jacob have children by, and that's how Jacob will have 12 boys and 1 daughter, right? Now here it is, verse 30, and he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. Now look at this. Now, Jacob is really working hard. He's not getting any pay. He's not earning anything. The Lord is going to bless him, though, because the Lord is with him. But, man, his uncle Laban has really taken advantage of him. Look what it says right here. And he went also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him, his uncle, yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren, and Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely the Lord hath looked upon my afflictions. Now therefore my husband will love me. Now, here it is. Jacob is showing, preferential treatment. He loved Rachel more than he loved his wife Leah. He do have 2 wives now. He has Leah and Rachel and their sisters. But he showing that he loved Rachel more than he loved Leah. And Leah noticed that right here. And Leah's going to see that. But guess what? Look what the Lord does. And he went also to Rachel and loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served him 7 more years. And look right here. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, when the Lord saw that Jacob's wife Leah was hated, well, the Lord intervened and opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So here come the Lord. He's going to bless Leah and open her womb because Leah was being mistreated, or she was being hated by Jacob. And at least she thought that was the case, because Jacob was spending all his time with who? Well, he was spending all his time with Rachel. And Leah conceived. Now Leah's going to have a child, right? And bear a son. And she called his name Reuben, for she said, surely the Lord have looked upon my afflictions. Now, therefore, my husband will love me. Now, she said, hey, maybe that Jacob, my husband, will love me now, or give me more attention, or spend more time with me, because now Jacob has a son. This is his firstborn son, and this is the first one of the 12 tribes of Israel, and his name is Reuben. Reuben is the firstborn. Wow. And so now we're seeing that the Jacob life is coming to fruition. Remember, he is to be fruitful and multiply. Well, he has 2 wives and he has 2 handmaidens, and now he has his firstborn son by Leah, and his name is Reuben. And we seeing the blessing of the Lord is coming into the household of Jacob. But guess what? Jacob don't think this a blessing at all, but indeed it is. Now look at verse 33. This is an interesting verse, because look what it says right here. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. This is an interesting verse, because notice what Leah says. She conceived. Now Leah conceived again. Now she's going to have another son. She had Reuben, and now she having Simeon, right? But look what she says right here. And bare a son, she bare another son to Jacob, and said, because the Lord has heard that I was hated. And Jacob still, after she given him Reuben, his first child, his first son, He's still showing the preferential treatment towards Rachel. He's still not spending time with Leah. He's still not respecting her. He's still not, being the husband he should be to her. He's still concentrating all his energy, his effort, his time, everything towards Rachel. And Leah noticed this. That's why she said, the Lord have heard that I was hated. You think Jacob would have woke up by now and said, you know what? I'm not going to kind of treat Leah like this. Yes, I didn't work hard for her. I worked hard for Rachel. But it doesn't matter. She's still your wife, and you shouldn't treat her that way. But Jacob is definitely giving all his attention and all his time and all his energy to Rachel, and this making Leah feel some kind of way. What did Leah say? The Lord himself has heard that I was hated. And guess what the Lord did? He continued to bless her, and he have therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. Now this is Jacob's second son. Rachel still hadn't had a son yet, but Leah has bared Jacob two sons. And these are the first two of the 12. We have Reuben, and now we got Simeon. Now here it is, verse 34. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. Now here's Jacob. He's still showing their preferential treatment towards Rachel and not, paying any attention at all to Leah. He's, because watch this. Notice what Leah said. And she conceived and bare a son, and said, now this time my husband will be joined to me. That's why I say that Jacob is spending all his time with Rachel. He's giving all his energy to Rachel. He's giving all his attention to Rachel. He's giving all his love to Rachel. And that's the reason why Leah said right here, he will be joined unto me. Because he's not spending any time with her. And so she's saying, now I done given this man 3 sons. Maybe now for sure, because I given him 3 sons, he will surely what? He will surely love me. But we'll see what happened. Jacob definitely got 3 sons by Leah, and you think he would have changed by now, or at least said, I need to, spend more time with Leah. No, he's not going to do that. He's still in love with Rachel, and he's still ignoring his other wife, Leah. But look right here. I want to concentrate right here. This is Jacob's 3rd son. And now we got Levi. Now we got Reuben, the firstborn. We got Simeon. But now here come Levi. Levi would be the Levitical priesthood. He would be where the priests come from, the priests of Moses and Aaron. They come from the tribe of Levi, and we will see that later. But this is Jacob's 3rd son, the 3 of the 12, and he's going to have one daughter, and her name would be Dana. Now here it is, verse 35, and she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah and left bearing. Right? Now here it is. Here it is, another son by Leah. Now watch this right here. And she conceived again and bare a son. And she said, now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah and left bearing. This is her last child that she's going to have, right? She's not going to have any more children because she will be left bearing right there. But here it is, Judah. Judah is now born. You had Reuben, right? That was the firstborn. Then you had Simeon right here. That was the secondborn. Then you had Levi right here. That's the thirdborn. And now here comes Judah right here, right? Now, watch this. Now notice the difference in this verse 35 than in the previous verses, right? Verse 35, she said, right? Verse 35, she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now will I praise the Lord. She didn't say, well, now my husband will love me. She didn't say, now he will give me more attention. She didn't say, now he will join unto me. She said, no, she just forgot about Jacob altogether and said, I will praise the Lord. Because I don't think Jacob ever changed, you see, and it's going to take him a long time to change. So she didn't say anything about Jacob finally coming to her with love and affection, spending time with her. She didn't say nothing at all. She just went and said, now I will praise the Lord. And that's actually what Judah means. Judah means praising of the Lord. Therefore, she called his name Judah, and she was left barren. So let's stop right there, because man, Jacob is being fruitful and he's multiplying. Believe me, he is. And yes, it may not be the way he wanted it to be, but that's the way it is. And the Lord is going to intervene, because Jacob is definitely paying the price. You know, he's reaping what he sowed in his father's house, and his uncle Laban has deceived him and tricked him. And the Lord is going to continue to bless anyway, despite all the thing that is going on in the household of Laban. And despite Jacob being tricked and being misused, the Lord just going to come along, and he's going to intervene, and he's going to see his plan through. He's going to make sure that Abrahamic covenant is going to be fulfilled. And despite all the mistakes that Jacob made, all the rookie mistakes, all the inexperience, and despite his uncle Laban taking advantage of him and using him, well, God is going to cause these things to work for the good of Jacob. And he's going to cause these things to work for good of the world, because the whole world would be blessed by the family or the offsprings of Jacob. That is part of the Abrahamic covenant. The covenant says that in all the nations of the earth will be blessed because of you, Jacob. And so the Lord is moving despite all these things that's going on. The Lord is, he definitely judged Jacob. Jacob definitely learned the valuable lesson about deceiving, because his uncle has gotten good over him big time. His uncle has really taken advantage of him. But now we see the Lord is moving, and he's blessed Jacob already with 4 sons. And the first 4 sons is by Leah. Rachel hadn't had any children yet, and the handmaidens hadn't had any children yet by Jacob, but they will be coming. And we're going to stop right there in Genesis chapter 29, and we're going to come back to Genesis chapter 30 as we see Jacob starting to have even more children. And then he's going to get in a real good, juicy argument with his uncle Laban. And then Jacob is going to prepare to escape again. 20 years later, 20 years before, he had to escape his brother Esau. And now he's going to have to escape his uncle Laban. And he's going to have to escape with 11 boys and a daughter. And he's going to have to escape with 2 wives and 2 handmaidens, and he's going to have his hand completely full, but he's going to have to bring his wife on board, and they're going to agree with him, and they're going to set up a plan, and they will escape the house of Laban, because Laban has definitely taken advantage of Jacob, and Laban has become very rich and very prosperous because of Jacob. And Jacob is going to make his uncle know that. He said, "When for me, you wouldn't have none of this stuff. I'm leaving. I'm out of here." But Jacob had to leave undercover. He had to leave when Uncle Laban was gone. And when his uncle got back and saw that Jacob has taken off with his daughters and all those boys, Uncle Laban was fuming hot. And the reason why Laban was hot is because Jacob was the blessing. And he knew that when Jacob leaves, all this good life is going to end. So that's the story. We're going to get back to that in Genesis chapter 30. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for going through this Bible study with me. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please like it. And we will see you next time in the word of the Lord, the volume of the book that is written of him.